Hey guys, and welcome to season 4 of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and in this season, we get to remember and reminisce back in time with some of our guests like...
Hey, we are Entity, and you're listening to
the Us People podcast
with Savia Rocks.
Hey, my name is Stephen Ridley, and you're listening to the Us People podcast with the lovely Savia Rocks, keeping it positive.
Hi, my name is James Green. I'm a TV presenter, sports reporter and journalist.
Hi, this is Joy Langley, and I'm the author of Navigating Stress.
Hey, this is Travis Glossop. I am a creative radio producer for Kiss FM, and you're listening to the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
We highlight the strengths of our cultures, talking about diversity and inclusion, and speaking out loud and proud about who we are.
I was never that good. I was determined. I had a love for the sport, and that always fueled me.
But arriving into London and kind of growing up in a really difficult situation, trying to kind of make sense of my life with with at home and not being accepted by the people around me, because there was, in the 60s, there was tremendous racism growing up in London.
It's great. I'm glad, because I'll be honest, I didn't really work that hard at uni, so it was good to leave uni and really get on it, really because I also, as a person, I think I value productivity. A lot of people live to work. I think I am one of the work to live guys, but because my work is amazing, that's all right with me. So as a person, I go to bed happy when I've had a productive day.
We've also saved the best till last by honouring another artist and showcasing their talent as our new theme song, with none other than your host, Savia Rocks, featuring in their song. So guys, enjoy, stay creative, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Electrica and I'm a rapper, and you're listening to the Us People show with Savia Rocks. Let's rock and roll.
Peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I am humbled to have Cearan here with me, who is a rapper and producer from the UK. He is also the owner, and I say this in a beautiful way, the owner of Electrica Productions. Cearan, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People podcast. How are you?
I'm absolutely amazing, thank you. Thank you for having me here as well.
No, you're more than welcome. I know we've been laughing even before we began the show, which is awesomely cool. But me and Cearan have been here before, but he has done so much in his life since I last saw him. I thought it was only fair for both of us to re-record and to bring this out for you guys again, because the one thing I love about people's journeys is how quickly it can change in an instant. And there are some fundamental and absolutely authentic things that Cearan has been through and gone through that I want him to share with you guys. So my first question for you is, could you tell me a bit about yourself, where you grew up, but also how that influenced you to be the awesome person who you are today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I grew up sort of in the south of the UK for quite a while. It wasn't until sort of GCSE sort of age, after the exams, I actually went into the army for nearly 3 years before I was medically discharged. And I found that going through the military that way really helped with my anxiety at the time. I guess it gave me that reassurance to be able to believe in myself, which I think definitely defined who I am as a person now.
That sounds awesome. The one thing I do like, how was it in the army for you, actually? Before I even ask my next question, how was it in there for you? Because a lot of people take that in so many different ways. I've obviously had previous partners who have been in the army and they've told me loads of things about it, but how did it help you going in there?
I mean, I loved every second of it. Like the camaraderie, the almost confidence boost that I had in my own, like what I knew I could do and what I knew I couldn't do, and with the things that I couldn't do, like how I could go around finding a way to be able to do those things.
That's actually really interesting. I didn't actually know that you were in the army. I didn't actually know you. That's pretty cool to know that you actually done that. So you shared something with me that I didn't even know about you at all. So this is the question that actually will relate to the first question that we asked, which is, how do you define yourself as a person? Because I know you just said that, but also, who do you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, has there ever been a time where you have not recognized who you are as a person? How did you manage to go from a person in a space where they feel like they don't belong to coming out of that space and becoming the positive person and the ambient person that I now know of you to be where they want to be in their life?
I mean, I guess when I look in the mirror, I see someone that has come very far from the beginning of like everything, and now it's still a case of I still have very far to go, I think, but I think that's something that everyone could really say about anything in their lives, really. I guess we've all had experiences where we look in the mirror and don't really recognize us, the person looking back. I think that's a part of change, and sometimes that's for the best, to be honest, I think, because if you can notice the changes in your life, you can notice whether or not they're positive or negative. It can really help you shape yourself as the person you want to be.
I thoroughly agree with that. And there's so many people who are still trying to find that person inside. So my next one for you is, music plays a huge part in all of our lives. So you know my next question is going to be, how did you actually get into music? Where did your musical journey actually begin for you?
I mean, as a kid, music really helped me get through a lot of things, like so much stuff in my life. And it got to a point where I didn't want to just be the listener anymore. I wanted to start making music myself. And so I first learned the piano at quite a young age. And for the first time in a long time, I found, because at the time I was suffering from really bad anxiety and things like that, I found a way in which I could express myself without fear of judgment, I guess. And it really sort of started from there, and now it's something that I look at and it's like it's a part of me. It is me.
Then there's another thing I want to ask you. How did the production side of things start for you? Because going into production, I commend anyone who is a producer. I commend anyone who is an engineer. I commend anyone who is a songwriter. And I know I am a songwriter, but at the same time, anyone who goes into any of these fields, you have to honestly own your craft, number one. And there's going to be so many challenges as well as competition out there in the world. But my question for you is, how did you go into the production side of things? What is it about, and this is the question I love, what is it about production, if you can break it down for me, that made you want to get into that particular side of music?
Well, it kind of actually started in the army, to be honest with you. I had a friend in there who I actually released some music with. His artist name's R. Grave, very talented, you should check him out. Cool. But it got to a point where we were both talking. I was like, you know what, I want to learn how to produce music so that you can rap over it and then we can release it out there and things like that. And then from there, it just sort of grew. He actually inspired me to start rap in the first place. And, you know, like, if it weren't for him, I don't think I'd be rapping, to be honest with you.
You know, I actually understand that part. Sometimes there's one person in your life who comes in and just sees the talent that you have.
Yeah, definitely.
And realizes that you need to be doing something. Don't waste it. Because they always say if you don't use your talent, it will be taken away from you and given to someone else. So what is the most important thing that you have learned from music since you started making it?
I've learned that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work.
You gave me the quote already. You beat me. He gave me the quote already. That's awesome. That is so true. I think there was an actor who said, "I am not the most talented person, but I am definitely one of the most hardworking."
Definitely.
So I agree with you.
I think that's something that like a lot of people either feel when they're in their specialist sort of field, or looking from a general standpoint, like or it's something that people need to hear, really. Because I know that some people have like self-doubt. I used to have self-doubt with the music quite a lot. Since I heard that quote, it sort of changed my perception on it, and I think a lot of things like anxiety and that is perception based.
Talk to me about self-doubt for a second. The reason why I say that, not a lot of people actually have that conversation, and some people call it self-sabotage. There's other names for it, but I want to get more into it for the simple reason to help people. So can you just dig a little deeper for me and for the audience listening about not necessarily believing in yourself when you should, or the outside influences of not believing in your talent? How is that for you? Or how was it for you?
I mean, at first it was definitely a challenge. Like when I first started, there was a lot of people that would tell me to not, like, they would just tell me to stop immediately. And that was kind of true for quite a lot of dreams that I had, really. But, I've still got like my family and that sort of, they still support me and everything. But I was kind of looking at it at the time, like there's loads of people around me telling me to quit and things like that. And when it came to the music, really, I guess my mindset changed, because normally, like, there were times where people had told me to stop dreaming and stop thinking like that far in the future. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then when it came to them actually saying that about the music, something inside me just went, no, this is me. And if you don't like it, then that's your problem, not mine.
No, I agree with you. I was going to say 2 other words before that, but hey, let's not go there. But listen, there are always going to be people who tell you to stop, but I realize those people who tell you to stop doing something that you love will only tell you to stop because they haven't found what they love. And that's something that I've learned in life. Or it could be a thing where people are telling you to stop doing what you love only because out of jealousy or envy, which you need to be careful of as well.
Definitely.
A person who embraces who you are as a person, regardless, will always push you to do good. And a person who is happy with their life will always push you to do good in your life. Only people who are unhappy in their lives will tell you not to do goodness in your life. So those are the words I would clearly state to everyone who's listening, and to you who's doing music and continues to do music. So you know where I'm going to go next with this. So Cearan is not telling you that he actually worked with Krayzie Bone, right, from Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. Yeah, he's smiling. I can't see him because his camera's off. He doesn't want me to see him. But no, well, cameras are on, but it's cool. So Cearan told me in confidence, and I thought it was a beautiful thing to be able to share with everyone, that he actually got to work with Krayzie Bone from Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. I'm a big fan of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. I remember going to college and listening to them when I was on my, like, literally every day. But I want to know from you, how was that experience? But also, how did it even all begin for you?
I mean, immediately I was just in awe when I found out.
Aww.
I was like, there is no way.
You deserve it.
Basically, thank you. it kind of started because a few years back I entered a competition that was being ran by a couple of platinum producers called Anno Domini and Legion Beats.
Yeah.
And one day, out of the blue, like I guess I completely forgot that I even entered that competition years ago. But one day they just emailed me to see if I wanted to have a feature with Krayzie. And I immediately emailed back. Like, I'm one of these people, like, I've got like 99 notifications on my phone all the time. As soon as I saw this one, I clicked on it straight away and emailed back.
So you said yes, and then what was the process like? So for example, how did it, what was you doing? What was the process like for you? But main thing, how was it actually being in, was you guys in the same room, or was you
No,
in one
no,
space and he was in one space, or how was it?
Yeah, it was sort of like he was over doing what he was doing, I was over and doing what I'm doing, and the producers were sort of the middlemen between.
Okay.
So I didn't actually get to properly communicate with Krayzie. That would have been like mind blowing.
Well, to me, the fact that you got that opportunity was mind blowing, because you deserve it, number one. You've worked hard, number two, and it shows. Imagine if you did listen to those people that told you to stop.
100%.
There you go.
Thank you as well.
No. You deserve it. And this is what I mean. If you have aspirations to do something in life, a lot of people, some people make it in life very quickly, and you're like, how did they get there so quick? And then some people make it when they're a lot older. But I find there's a sweetness to actually getting it when you're older, and enjoying that journey when you're older. Sometimes when you are younger, you do not appreciate it as much as when you've worked an abundance amount of years.
100%.
Yeah, you know where I'm going
agree
with this,
with
right?
I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years now.
And then when you get something, it's so much sweeter because you remember how hard you've worked just to get there. And I know you're going to be working with so many other people, and I know you're going to appreciate that journey of the ups and downs and curveballs. It's just that sometimes when we were younger, and even I'm one of those people who can clarify being young and not appreciating it as much, and then getting older and then realizing, wow, this is absolutely awesome. So my advice, and I'm sure Cearan would agree, is that no matter what anybody tells you, no matter how many times we feel like self-sabotaging ourselves and saying to ourselves, I'm going to stop because I don't feel like any income is coming in, or it's not working for me. That time when you feel like stopping is the closest you've ever been to getting there in the first place. So don't stop. So
100%.
That is
I
just
agree with that, honestly.
another thing that I know me and you were talking about even before we started the podcast. We didn't say the words, but it's ego and pride. And a lot of people in life, when they start out very humble, but they end up with a massive ego because of the status that they've achieved in their lives. So how do you believe ego and pride can ruin someone in their life, especially when it comes to doing music as well? Because a lot of the time we are faced with, as being a rapper, and this is a good, I'm sure you're going to explain to me, being a rapper, a lot of rappers have an ego, but the ego is just for entertainment. But when they're not rapping anymore, they're a completely different person. And then you have rappers who have egos from the start to the end. Talk to me about ego and pride, and how you feel like ego and pride can be a positive thing but also be a negative thing.
I guess it sort of links to the too much of one thing is always a bad thing anyway.
That's true. A bit like women. I just threw that in there.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, I know, that's why it makes you laugh.
But I guess to a degree, I guess there's a fine line between having that self-belief and having that confidence in yourself versus having it so much that you're putting down others to be where you are.
Yeah.
Like I think that even from like just a person to a person, like an interaction basis, not even from like a music standpoint or just or anything really, like I think people like I think we should be here to uplift each other rather than put someone down to try and get a leg up.
Yeah. But that's the thing that I find the hardest. There are a lot of people in the world. There are less people in the world trying to help each other, but there are more people in the world stabbing you in your back to get that extra step. Question came to my mind, Cearan, is how can we stop that? Or it's hard because that depends on the individual as well. So I feel like I'm answering it as well with you, but how do you feel that we can help each other more rather than other people kind of stabbing the good people in the back in order to get ahead of life?
I feel like, as you said as well, like I completely agree, it's down to the individual, but I feel like a lot of it is an understanding of others and an understanding of self. And also understanding that other people and your self-worth is equal.
I agree. I like the way you said that. So if I was to say to you, if there was one song that was the soundtrack of your life, what song would you say to me and why would you choose that particular song?
You've got me thinking now. I mean, do you mean from like...
It could be anything. It could be from your past, your present, song that you've wrote, anything.
Yeah, I mean, I always end up listening to a lot of blues and a lot of metal, actually.
Ooh.
I'm kind of an eclectic, so I kind of just listen to everything, to be honest. But there's always been like a couple of artists that I've always sort of gone back to and listened to. One of them being Gary Moore. He's absolutely talented. A lot of friends that I have as well make music, so I'm always there to support them for their achievements and everything. And I'm always waiting for them to drop new releases.
I like that. So what would your one song be?
I would say at the moment there's a song called Nothing's Gonna Stand in Our Way.
That's a nice title.
And I find like my perspective of the song, I guess, is someone who has everyone around him that they want to uplift, whilst also trying to chase a dream at the same time. And it's just literally, well, I guess what the title says, nothing's gonna stand in our way.
That's what I like. You know what? I like titles that have powerful meanings.
Definitely.
Titles that have powerful meanings, even when you pass away as an individual, or as they say, cross over to the next universe or whatever it might be, and you've written a song that is powerful and stays with us, that piece of you stays with us, so you're never really gone. And that's one of the fundamental things I love about music.
I think the other thing that I really like about music as well is that, again, it's all down to perception of things. Because as I said, that's my perception of the song. Someone else could listen, like you could listen to that song and you could find a completely different meaning.
That's so true.
But at the same time, they're both the meaning, because that's how it is. Music is subjective.
The one thing that I think tallies into what we're talking about excuse me, is mental health. Mental health plays a fundamental part in every single person's life, regardless of who we are, where we've come from. Talk to me about how music has helped your mental health.
there are definitely some songs that I've written that I don't think I'll release. I think they'll be more personal to me. There are some songs that I have released, however, that are basically talking about my mental health and my mental state at the time of me writing them. And I find it's a great release, almost like a creative release, to get those emotions and those thoughts out there from the pen and the pad to the microphone. And I guess it's sort of like a way of expressing the emotions and feelings without causing any problems to anyone or to yourself, really. That's the way that I've always kind of seen it. I find music very therapeutic.
And it also depends on, like you say, the type of music that you listen to as well.
Definitely.
I'm a big jazz fan, so...
Okay.
Hey, okay. I like the way you said that. That was cool. I'm a big jazz fan, so I will sit in a blues wine bar by myself or a jazz wine bar by myself, and I'd be in my element, not minding who is there or just listening to the music, but more than anything else appreciating that person has that gift to share it with me. And I'm always in the back. I'm never in the front. I'm always right in the back, which is quite awesome because you get a different feeling from being in the back of somewhere and then being in the front and listening. So it's always awesome to be able to do that. If I said to you, if there was one question you wished somebody asked you, but has never asked you before, what question would that be? And why would you want that person to ask you that particular question?
I think just asking people how each other is, how everyone is, and how each other. I can't English.
God. Oh.
Asking each other how you are. I think that's a very nice question.
Do you know what? I'm exactly the same. Sometimes I find it really hard to articulate myself. No, I really do. I find it, and this is why, and I think this is why. Okay, dyslexic people. I'll put my hand up. I'm one. You know, Cearan. Thank you. Right, we're both ones. Right. Even I said that wrong. We're both ones. Who says it like that? But
that's the new official terminology.
Thank you. So, you know what? I should write my own dictionary.
I've started to as well. Like, instead of getting a signature from someone, I'm getting a squiggly wiggly.
Squiggly wiggly. That's awesome. What's it? What's a squiggly wiggly? That's just your signature, honey. Just put it there. Yeah. just lay it down.
I also have it with like sayings and things as well. You know, like people say like cross the T's and dot the I's. I've said like cross the I's and dot the T's before.
But you know what? It's funny because people get it. And even so, they was doing this thing, and I'm sure loads of people have heard about this as well. I know I'm not the only one, where you can write text backwards, you can misspell things, but our eyes and our brains still recognize it and read it as if it was all spelt correctly.
Yeah, I saw someone with a T-shirt that had like numbers instead of letters, but because the numbers were so close to looking like the letters, the brain just automatically reads it.
All it is you just have to have, I don't know if I'm correct, but I'm sure someone out there will write to me and say, Savia, no, this is correct. But you have to have the first and the last letter in place, but everything in the middle can be all messed up.
Definitely.
And
I think that's what it was.
Sorry?
I think that is what it is.
Yeah. I think so. I'm going to have a look again and then I'll write it up and let everyone know. But I think that's what because I've always read text, even when I'm writing and I misspell something. As long as I got the first and the last letter, I know what it is. Everyone else can make it out as well. But it's fine with me. So talk to me about, because this is really important. What is the best advice you have ever received from someone, and how has it helped you in your life?
Best advice that I've ever received. I'm going through like 5 of them at the moment in my brain.
Wow.
Because there's quite a lot of advice that because I like to listen to people, and I like to listen to their stories and to their perspective on life.
Okay.
Because I feel like as long as I have an open mind on things, something that they've gone through, like I'm a firm believer that everyone that you meet has a lesson that you can learn from them.
You know what? I bowed my head to you when you said that.
And I was actually taught that from quite a young age, and I feel that as a piece of advice has served me extremely well in my life.
That makes complete sense to me, and I'm so glad you said that. I hope other people can take that as well and implement that into their lives, because all it takes is for you to say one sentence as you did, and it can clearly help someone. What is the hardest decision that you have ever had to make in your life that has changed your perception of how you see life?
That's another really good question.
Oh.
Like, there was a time where I struggled extremely badly with my mental health. Like, I wouldn't want to get up, I wouldn't want to even eat, I wouldn't want to do anything like that at all. And it got to a point where one day I was thinking about making a stupid decision, and I got about halfway through setting it up, and I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I need to change my mind on this, I can't do this. And from there I just sort of learned a new appreciation on life.
Do you feel that it was hard to make that decision at that time?
It's kind of weird to explain. It's like it almost felt like it wasn't a decision. Like, it felt like the decision had already been made the moment I looked at myself in the mirror. The moment there was that tiniest bit of doubt in my mind that said, hang on a minute, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, the decision was made there and then.
So this question will tally into our last ones that we've been speaking about. So a lot of the time when we go through hard things in our life, the one fundamental thing, especially if someone hurts us or treats us in a certain way, or like we were saying before about people who will use you in order to get a step ahead in life, is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a massive thing, and forgiveness is just it's not about religion or anything like that. It's honestly not. Forgiveness is a word that we can use in so many terminologies and different things or stages within our life. But the reason why I want to talk to you about forgiveness is because, has there ever been a time when someone has done something to you and you found it extremely hard to forgive, not just them, but yourself? Because forgiveness works 2 ways. Forgiveness works in a way where you forgive the person, but also people forget that forgiveness also works about forgiving yourself. Has there ever been a time where you've found it hard to not just forgive the person for what they've done, but also forgive yourself? But how did it help you to move on once you had found the strength to be able to forgive yourself and the other person?
I feel like this question is perfectly timed with my life right now.
Wow.
I've literally just forgiven someone.
Oh my
myself.
gosh, let's talk about it.
I mean, I don't want to go too much into detail, but a long story short, there was sort of, I wouldn't say a disagreement. I'd say more of someone made the decision to do something that extremely hurt me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that the more I held on to that pain, the worse I became mentally. And I actually took like a hiatus from everything, from music, from social media. I even messaged my parents and was like, look, I need a break from everything and everyone for about a week, just so I can realign my energy. And because I also believe that you attract the energy you vibrate into the world. And at the time I could I was catching myself sort of feeling negative and being a negative person, and I just wanted to take that time to rebalance myself, ground myself, and find myself again.
I know how hard it is, and even hearing your voice talk about it, I know that it still slightly lives there.
I think it's one of those things, like, I think some things will always be a part of your life, but
True.
I think it's, again, perspective and perception of it that changes what it means to you.
Yeah.
So now I look at it with the eyes of forgiveness rather than the negativity that I had before, and I feel so much better for it. Does it still hurt? Yes, but, you know, eventually time heals that wound.
I was just going to say that, and you beat me to it. You beat me to it. So then the follow-up...
Great minds think alike.
Uh-huh. So the follow-up question to that one would be, when was the last time you remember feeling at total peace with yourself?
I would say the last time that I felt truly at peace was the last time that I spoke with my partner, which was this morning / last night, depending on time zones.
Ah, true. Let's just say this morning. It sounds better when you say this morning, so it sounds like you were talking all the way through.
Yeah.
I find like talking at a peaceful environment. Us creative people have really weird times. This is something that we should talk about as well. Us creative people have really weird times when it comes to creative patterns.
I'm nodding my head. I realise my camera's off and no one else can see it, but I'm nodding my head. I'll wake up at 4 a.m. and go, oh my God, this is the best idea ever. I need to write it down.
So I have a whiteboard next to my bed, and I have like 4 different coloured pens. But when you are 80% sleeping, how the hell are you meant to remember what colour pen you need to use? So I just naturally grab any pen that's in front of me, and then I just authentically start writing. But no, I totally understand. So if there was... actually, if I dropped you on a desert island and I said to you, you're only allowed to have one president, one activist, and one musician for 24 hours to have a conversation with, who would you bring? One president, one activist, and one musician.
Or dead or alive?
If you want to raise them from the dead, it's all good.
Okay. Musician-wise, I probably want to speak to Tupac. Activist, I'll still work on that one.
I'll still work on that one.
Yeah, I'll come back to that one.
Okay.
President, do you mean as in like of a company or a country or like...
Do you know what? I'm so I was waiting for someone to say that to me. Because everyone, when I say president, nobody questions.
They just go, Obama.
Yeah, exactly. Or they say a president of a country or somewhere. They never ever challenge me to say a president of a company. You're the first person to do that. I love the fact that you did. Yeah, because sometimes it's just about going deeper into the words of things. So that's awesome. So listen, you can either have a president of a company or a president of a country or a state or whatever it might be that they have. So you choose. Because you've questioned me, you get to choose.
If it was a president of a country, I probably don't know who I would pick, but it would be someone probably from history.
Cool.
Just to see their outlook on life.
Yeah, that is true.
In terms of a company, I'd probably talk to someone like Elon Musk, because I know he's quite intelligent.
Yes, and he's been through a lot. He hides it.
Yeah, definitely.
So that I like that. So you got activist, which is your last one. I'll give you a second.
There's only one activist I can think of, but they're a musician, so I can't.
No. If they're a musician and an activist, hey, it is what it is. Some people wear many hats.
There's a band called Rage Against the Machine.
Yes, I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't really know if you could call them an activist or if it's just someone putting their opinions out there in a pure form. But I think having that conversation with them would be absolutely amazing.
You make me want to get the band on the show. Hey guys, if you want to come on the show, please do tell me. I would love to have you.
I can pay you when Chris high-fived.
Oh man. Do you know what? I wasn't expecting that. I felt like you got me back for the last time. Oh man, that's awesome. I love that. So I'm going to ask you, how do you see your music making a stamp on the world, but also how do you see your music changing the world?
I think it starts with an individual, really, whether it be me or the listener, whoever that may be. Because really, I think my music, rather than change, like, I don't know about changing the world, but if I can help someone get through something because they've listened to one of my songs and gone, I can relate to that, then I feel like my job as an artist is done. Like if I'm helping just one person, I don't really like, when it comes to fame and things like that, I'm not someone that wants to chase like a huge crowd of people and go, look at me, look at me, look at me. Like, I'd rather help people heal through music, because that's what it did for me when I was younger, you know. So I feel like I want to give back what I've received.
Do you know what? Sometimes the most simplest of answers are the best ones. And I think that's just an authentic best answer coming from you. It's just, it is how it is meant to be. That's it. Literally, that is it. So it works. So if I was to turn around and say to you, how do you feel the next generation of musicians, songwriters, artists, and rappers in the world will change things in diversity and inclusion, in racism, in culture, and in understanding what music is? What would you say to me?
I would say it depends on which artist you're listening to.
Oh.
Because some artists, you know, they'll still talk about the same topics that have been brought up in rap for a very long time. Yeah. Whereas some artists will bring a new perspective to that conversation, or they'll bring up a topic that's not usually brought up in the rap community.
That's so true. I like the fact that you take my questions and you rip them apart, and then you think outside of the box with each of them, which is good. I like that.
Weird.
No, you didn't realize. No, you didn't realize that you actually did. Well, I don't know if you realized. I shouldn't assume, but
no, I'm just answering it how I see it, I guess.
Yeah. So you've taken yourself out of the box, and then you've looked back in, and then you said, "But Savia, say if it's this, or is it this, or is it?" You've asked another question on top of it as well, which makes it such an authentic way of answering it, but also you're making me answer it too, which is really, really cool. So I've only got 2 more questions for you. Okay. And my second to last question for you would be, what would you like your legacy to be in the world when you feel, and I state this so highly, only when you feel like you have done enough in the world? what would you feel, or what would you like your legacy to be, and how would you like to be remembered?
It's going to sound like a weird answer, but I'd like to be remembered as me.
That's not a weird answer.
Well, not weird, but like a simple answer. Like, I don't really want to be remembered as, oh, he's that guy that raps, or oh, he's the guy that makes music, or he's the guy who did the song with Krayzie Bone. I just want to be remembered as Cearan.
I like that. That's enough. That is absolutely enough. One thing I did want to ask you this, so I'm going to throw in an extra one. There are a lot of rappers in the world that see rap as poetry. But as you've clearly stated to me in your own authentic way, there are rappers out there that sing as well. There are rappers that talk about the same thing in their artistic way of doing it. And there are rappers that have an immense talent of being able to articulate a poetry story and turn that into rap. How do you feel that rap is to you, but also what does rap mean to you in those forms of articulation through singing, rapping and poetry?
I definitely see it as something poetical, but I think there's an added, like from the study side of it, the nerdy side, I guess, like there's like a rhythmic side to it that you have to incorporate into the poetry writing, so you have the right texture and timbre for everything. From a creative perspective, music is my life.
Fair enough.
I wake up, on the way to work I listen to music. When I come home, I listen to music, or I'm making music. Like, if someone was to want me to talk for about hours on end, just ask me a question about music. Really. I could chat about any, like, sort of thing, really, when it comes to music. Even if it's something that I don't know, because I'll just start asking loads of questions.
That's how it should be. So do you get into some heated discussions about music?
Sometimes.
Hey, I don't blame you. I've been there. If anybody starts talking to me about songwriting and royalties and the splits and getting, yeah, I am big on music business. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Definitely. But I think a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to being an independent artist, you're your own artist manager, you book your own gigs, you do your own studio time. A lot of us produce our own instrumentals, we write our own lyrics, we make sure we're in the right location, we direct and film most of our music videos, or we're the ones who come out of our pocket to pay someone to help us for that. I think a lot of people just see the music and don't see the work that goes in behind it as well. I think that's a huge part of it as well. But I think where more and more people are becoming independent artists, that sort of whole procedure is becoming a bit more known to the world. And I think that will change a lot of things too, because the old sort of styles of promoting music and things like that are starting not to work as well. So it's taking what we've got with our technology at this current moment in time and finding a new way, an interesting way to captivate the audience for promotion. But to be honest with you, I don't really promote much.
Sometimes you don't
I
need
know
to.
I should, probably. But at the end of the day, for me, I believe that the listener, whoever that may be, will find my music when they need to.
Do you know what? I agree. And I tell you why I agree with that. There's been times in our lives where all of us, and I hope people can relate to this, where we go through something in our lives and then a song comes on and it just reflects like everything that we've been on. And we're like, that song could have been made 20 or 30 years ago, even longer. And we're like, how comes I've got that song just now? And that's happened to me so many times.
It happens to me all the time.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that. It's so true.
And I can't, I mean, obviously you've just said it happens to you, so I can't be the only one. But for a long time, I felt I can't be the only one that goes through this.
Honestly, you're not. It's just that, you know what it is? Society has made us think. And because of we are our own best friends, but we are our own worst enemies too. And a lot of the time what we do is we self-sabotage ourselves, thinking that we are the only person at this time, at this point in the universe, or ever in our lifetimes going through what we're going through. Yes, there are other people going through what they are going through too, but no one will go through exactly the same thing as you are in exactly the same way, but they will go through it in some way that is immensely similar. So that's why writing about love, writing about pain, writing about abuse, writing about being a victim, you know, or creating music in that way, of poetry, or seeing or writing music, of telling a story from a third person, is a beautiful thing to be able to do, because there is someone in the world who needs that song to hear it, to help them, or just to give that song to another person in the world to help them in their lives. That's why I find music so beautiful. So it makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
I agree on what you're saying as well. Like, I think music is a very important part of life, whether or not someone, because I hardly ever come across anyone who says I don't like music. I have come across a couple of people that have, but even then they don't realize that they do like music because of the TV that they watch, or the films that they watch, the games that they play, the stores that they go into. Like, music is everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Even in things that don't sound musical, like there's quite a lot of patterns that you can hear, like for example the rhythm of the train tracks and birds whistling. So there's so much musicality in our world, and I think as an artist it's channeling your inner musicality into a form that you can express. I think that's what music is really when it comes down to it.
I like that. I like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense. I'm so glad that you said it the way that you did. So my last question for you is, more than anything, I would love for people to be able to find you, to find your music, to find out what you're up to, if they have a question for you, if they want to know about who you are as a person. Where can they find you?
I'm on every platform from YouTube to Spotify, and then I'm on like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all under Electrica.
See, guys, please go and support, go and have a conversation. Just authentically be yourselves when you reach out, because I'm sure there are loads of people in the world that can connect with each other. All it takes is for us to take that first step and just either write an Instagram message, write a text message, whatever it might be, or email, whatever it is. Reach out to anybody that you have heard on the podcast and just reach out to them. This is where I say to you, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the podcast again, for authentically telling me even more about you that I didn't know, for expressing more about your music, your talent, your gift, who you are as a person, where you come from, but more than anything else, authentically being yourself and telling your story your way. You know that I appreciate you so much, so thank you.
I appreciate you as well, and I want to take the time to really say thank you for inviting both myself and all the other guests that you've invited onto your podcast, because it is truly an amazing experience, and you're an awesome person. And to be honest with you, like, it's absolutely amazing to go through and listen to other people's stories on your podcast and things as well.
You know, I get really shy when people start giving me, how can I say it? like
Giving you props.
yeah.
I'm the same.
I've always
I'm there like,
I've always been like that. I've never been a person to take any kind of fame or whatever it might be. I think in life it's important to do what you love. It's important to not be an a-hole. That's one in my dictionary. It's important to not be an a-hole, but it's more important to give manners and respect to everyone who comes on your show. And without them, you wouldn't have a show. Some people think that they can do it all by themselves, but no matter who you are, you do nothing by yourself, all by yourself. You know, there is someone who helps you along the way, someone or something that helps you along the way. But I'm going to say thank you, because I think thank you is one of the best things that you can say to someone, and it means a lot to me to let people share their stories on the show. Now I'm going to get all sentimental, but but honestly, and being so close to season 5, it's nice to be able to do this and to actually put in one of the podcasts how much I appreciate you yourself, Cearan, for coming on the show, and all the other guests for allowing me to interview them, which is over 200 people. So thank you, Cearan, first of all, and thank you to everyone else as well, whoever's listening as well, and most of all, thank you to the listeners too. So that's how it works.
And thank you as well.
Okay. I'll thank me too then. I'll thank me too. Oh, there. So on that note, I am going to say thank you so much to everyone for listening to the Us People podcast. And please remember, you can listen and subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you can also donate to the Us People podcast by simply going to the Cearan Rocks website or going to our brand new Us People podcast website, which is www.uspeoplepodcast.com, which is beautiful, it's colourful, and it's got a whole new way of making everyone interact with each other. You can also buy our merchandise on there as well, which is brand new as well, which I think is totally awesome. Guys, this is what I say to you. Thank you so much for listening again. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
I need a solution. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with her. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with confusion. Yeah, I'm done. I need a solution. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. I protect my energy and peace of mind. Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind. Peace of mind, peace of mind.
People say that having a peace of mind is trying to find a consistency of calmness within ourselves, to crave for a clarity that drives us through our emotional journey of life, to never let a person's judgment manifest into a fear inside of us, learning to believe in our ability to shine through the darkest moments and tunnels when we cannot see the light. Patience being our light for forgiveness and strength, to believe in our destiny. If you want real peace of mind, one needs to stop fighting their inner thoughts and embrace them with love, because love is the most amazing and beautiful strength that we have to conquer our peace of mind. Make your thoughts impact a nation by keeping them true and honest, especially to yourself, but make your peace of mind protect you when you don't have strength to embrace anything else. Find your peace of mind by listening to your heart.
You know they should do the news like that.
Oh, that would be hilarious. I think a lot more people would listen. I quit. What's the sports?
Listen. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. The way they them licked that ball and it just went back to Bermuda and came back again to Jamaica and licked down in England again. And them say 6. That wasn't 6. That was 66. No, I'm just joking.
I'm dead.
I'm joking.
Gotta keep my energy and peace of mind, peace of mind, peace of mind.